Hello there, welcome to the Obi-Thorn Alliance. In today's video we're doing a final review on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and helping me with that is Luke and where do you see the show compared to WandaVision?
Compared to WandaVision, it was more enjoyable. It's hard to say. I think it's a better show, but I'm not going to say that because some people didn't like WandaVision. I really liked WandaVision. I think WandaVision was really cool and different. This was what you kind of expected. It was action-packed and it was just good. It was good quality. Like, if that was a movie, I'd have been very impressed with it. So, yeah, I blew me out of the water. It wasn't something I'd been looking forward to, but something I've definitely recommended to a lot of people since watching it.
Like you said in the trailer reaction, it made you care about Falcon, so it did its job, so that's a good thing. So I guess start off with the positives with the show and the entirety is that it started off with character development, and it made you realize, because in most movies and TV shows they don't make you actually think, oh, some people might not get paid that much, might not, there's other things that superheroes deal with besides blowing stuff up or, things like that. So I thought the show did a good job with making you realize that even superheroes have day-to-days.
Yeah, it was a great insight into that world and a look at things, because if you look at superheroes that are well known or like that are super popular, you associate wealth with them. Batman, Bruce Wayne, billionaire. Tony Stark, billionaire. Like, we think of them being rich. You never think of there's just average guys. Like Falcon is just he was in the military. He helped fight with the Avengers, but does that mean you get money? So it just goes to show that people have normal lives. And then Bucky worked for Hydra, was a criminal, was like wanted, and then helped the Avengers again. But where does he get money from? So it goes to show that we can't assume that they're rich just because they fight crime. It was a good insight. So they really built up good character development. What do you think about the way the show developed Sam's character?
Yeah, it made you see that he had his goals with the boat, and then his morals. It made you realise that he didn't think he was worthy with the shield, and then he is a good general, good person, and then it's not a story that here you go, here's your toy, and then you're just gonna have it. It builds up to it, instead of someone else gets the shield that he thinks he's worthy, but it's kind of the opposite story with the two characters.
Well, it shows you that he had to work hard to get what he wanted. He wasn't just born with power, wasn't just given it. He was a somewhat average hero that had a suit. He wanted to fight hard and take over the Captain America shield, and then he, in the end, I felt that he earned it.
Yeah.
I had my doubts at how he could possibly compete and as a normal bloke be Captain America, but I guess it's explained with the Wakandan new suit he has, that the suit provides him with some kind of shielding and power and flight. So he has abilities that he has more chance than the other people, but he still isn't quite the same as Steve. But he's got a chance.
Sometimes you don't have to be like someone else, you just need to be yourself.
Well, I think that's the whole moral that they try and teach with Captain America, that he is originally what they wanted an everyday kind of person that understood the struggles and was worthy to get the serum. Steve becomes that, and he's a symbol for America, what America stands for, which is what Americans love. They're all about believing that they're all high, mighty, powerful, and they fight for their country and defend their honour, and that's what he's about. And I think this show really drummed that in, and then we get the whole message about Sam being a man of colour and what it would be like to take that up, which you might get into later. What do you think about Bucky's story arc?
I thought it was, I don't want to say more interesting than Sam's, but it was basically a war hero become criminal and coming to terms with that.
Yeah.
And then it was interesting how he had his psychiatrist sessions, and then with the book, and then we got all the steps, what were quite funny, and then he executed all the steps, even though he did it badly, or but he still didn't hurt anyone. And then he befriended the elderly gentleman because he felt guilty, and then it showed flashbacks, what he was having nightmares, and then it kind of showed you different aspects of what they were going through.
Yeah, I think they summed up nicely, showing throughout the movies we've seen Bucky be the Winter Soldier and then become a good guy, but I guess we now get to see that even that comes with a cost. He has nightmares, he regrets what he's done, gives him that human element. We see him talk about being lonely and wanting to find love, but it's a bit hard when he's over 100 but doesn't look that old.
Yeah.
He obviously he's missing an arm. He has a Wakandan made arm. There's lots of cool things about that. And then I guess they then close the book with him at the end of the series, where we see that we assume he's gotten over his nightmares because he's ticked off his list. He's mentally gotten over what he's done, and he's apologised to those and made a difference as much as he can to those that he's affected. So it's a good kind of opening the book to him and then closing it. So now in future movies, Bucky can just be Bucky. We don't have to think, is he guilty about what he's done and he's a bad guy. We know for sure he's a good guy now.
Do you think he'll eventually become the White Wolf? Because in the show, he keeps getting referred to the White Wolf.
I think so. I think Marvel tend to be, in their movies, finding every way possible to bring out some of the things that happen in the comics, which isn't always easy to do, because comics sometimes get illustrated and written by different authors, and they change, and they have different universes, and different characters do different things based on which way or perspective you look at it. So they've tried their best to introduce that with Sam becoming Captain America, and Bucky, he might come the White Wolf. It would make sense because he's no longer the Winter Soldier, and Bucky just doesn't sound cool. That's not good enough for a superhero. He needs a better name. So yeah, he might come into the White Wolf, because they did, as you said, they mentioned it, they name dropped it, so that means they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
And the show found a way to introduce an alternate version of Captain America in John Walker. So that I guess for the comic book readers, they were probably stoked to see him come into it. He's not a character I'd heard of before. So Tell us a bit about John Walker's story arc we got through the series.
Well, Sam thought that the shield was going to the museum, but the senator had other ideas to give it to a white male who had his own, I guess, things that he proved. He had 3 Medal of Honors, and he proved himself, but Bucky didn't approve, and but John Walker went through an interesting character arc himself. At the start, you kind of didn't like him, but you grow to like him a little bit more, and the serum we'll see where that goes. I reckon it'll be interesting to see if he becomes kind of neutrally good, neutrally evil, and the decision they made when he picked up the truck, I think was kind of the redeeming, but does it make up for when he killed someone with the shield?
Yeah, he's a cool character that you wondered. Like, the trailer hinted that there was going to be someone else that takes up Captain America's mantelpiece. You see them running out on the football stadium. We eventually see that that's him. My doubts originally were, how can he compete? He's just an average day guy, but he's got 3 medals of honor, bravery medals. He's done all these things. You go, okay, he's likable. He's a likable guy. But then through the pressures of not being able to compete, because all he really has is a shield and some battle training. Like, he's good at being a soldier, but he's not a super soldier.
Yeah, no one respects him throughout the show. He's like, do you know who I am? And everyone's like, oh.
And you see they build it up really well, that he goes from all this hatred to then manifesting that and then deciding to make the decision to take the serum, because even though he know it's not the right thing to do, he's pushed into that, making that decision. And I guess that explains nicely how he can continue to be in the universe, because he is a super soldier now.
It was convenient, though, that Zemo left one for him, though.
Yeah, well, it was quite convenient. So he gets his powers, he tries to make his own shield and has no luck. He then, as you said, redeems himself at the end, and now it's set up that he's now going to be referred to as US agent in future shows, and I think he adds merit to the Marvel universe. You know, he's someone that can help fight. He has great battle training, and he's a super soldier now, and I think he might be a good asset for the Marvel universe moving forward. Whether he's good, bad, or the other, I'm not sure. I think he does what he wants, but
I think it's going to be a very neutral character. I don't think he'll have. Because if you notice the last scene he was in, he was still twitching. So I think the serum effects will change his mindset. So he might start getting darker because he's wearing black, and black's a dark colour. Yeah,
I agree. I think they've set it up for that. I think he's good at heart, but he's probably not. He's only one thing away from becoming evil. Like, you saw what happened with his friend, how that caused him to kill someone. You know, like, maybe if something happens to his wife, is that what tips him over in future and he becomes a villain? But then as a villain, he wouldn't stand too much of a chance.
Would you like them to keep his friend a little bit longer, or was that the thing that needed to set him over the edge for that story to happen, with him losing the shield and Sam getting it back, I guess?
I don't know if his friend had to die. He could have just been thought to have been dead, and then he went back and he was actually fine. Would have the same effect. Maybe it's something that's in the comic books. Who knows? Maybe because his friend was referred to as Battle Scar, so maybe his backstory might be that his friend Battle Scar dies, and that's how he. Like, it might be just a copy of what happens in the comic books. I'm not sure. I guess we also get the whole twist in the series about the power broker. Tell me a bit about that.
I think that's probably the most disappointing thing about the show. I don't know about you. Like, it's not obvious until I think, I don't know about you, but it was kind of obvious when we got into a house. It's like, this is pretty shady here. Like, she's really rich. It's starting to, you know, but it was kind of getting too obvious when she's calling people. She's like really shady, and then I think in my mind, and I don't know about you, but I was more not wanting it to be her, because I wanted it to be someone else. It makes sense for the story, but I was very disappointed.
No, exactly the same. It seemed too obvious to be true,
yeah.
And then at the same time, I didn't want it to be true. So
no.
I was always looking for someone else I thought was going to be the power broker.
Yeah.
I guess it sets it up for something good in the future, like a good storyline. But it is disappointing to think that she, after being a good person, after all the great work her mum did, that she's was it a grandmother, mum or grandmother? Mum. Yeah, it's quite disappointing then. What else? The show overall was quite political. There's a large focus on the flag smashers and the world recovering from the blip. And then we've had the politics around Black Lives Matter. So maybe we start off with like the flag smashers and what was going on with them.
I thought it was interesting having the flag smashers in the show. I just think it would have been better if they spent more time developing them. I think because the main problem I have with them, it's not their ideals. It's more I personally don't agree with their intentions because it's hard to see their world views. I think it would have been better to have like a flashback or like why they think the world was better when because they said the world was better when it was in chaos. So it would have been nice to have a flashback or something to see why they thought that. They kept saying, oh, all these people that are coming back and the world's not as good now. Well, it's more that them as an organisation telling us as the audience, and I think it would have been better if they shown a flashback to that time period instead of actually telling us what it's kind of like. Oh, it's hard to buy what you're saying there. That's the only thing. I don't disagree with them trying to make it better for other people, but it's like they bombed this place, so it's very messy, I feel.
I agree. The show wanted you to try and feel for the flag smashers and see the world from their perspective, but it didn't give you enough info to want to.
Yeah.
You could see like elements of it that Carly as the leader, what she wanted and what had happened to her, but it just wasn't believable enough. It needed another episode on it, a bit more explanation of even what the flag smashers were about. If you watch it back and you do your research, it makes sense, but for your average watcher, they'd finished the series and still not quite sure what the flag smashers wanted. Did they want those that came back to die from the blip? Did they want everything to return before the blip? Did they want it's not that obvious what they wanted. And then in saying that, there was the division in the flag smashers. Carly was a bit more extreme than her colleagues.
Yeah.
So still trying to understand that. So I think that needed just a tiny bit more explanation.
Do you agree with me that a flashback would have been nice to see their point of view of why they thought the world was better instead of actually preaching in a way?
Yeah, a little flashback, and even just the verbal confirmation of we have to do this because of that, or this is what we want, not one world, one people. That's all they said. They just kept saying one world, one people.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like that could mean many things. That could mean they want one leader.
Well,
it doesn't.
Well, the problem is if they're about one world, one people. Why did Carly said, "Oh, I don't care about your friend that just died."
And he's not important. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't quite make sense what they actually wanted.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be people watching this disagreeing because they get it. They probably understand it. But I just think it wasn't obvious enough. I needed a bit more explanation. That would have been nice.
Yeah, flashback would have been good.
And what about the whole Black Lives Matter, Sam as a coloured Captain America and the Isaiah plot line? Tell us a bit about that.
Isaiah was an interesting character, and how he treated wasn't good, and it was interesting seeing the dynamic and Isaiah saying, "Oh, you're Black African American, you won't get the shield," and then it was interesting how we always got to see his veggie garden and stuff like that. It was nice how he eventually got rewarded for his good deeds. Don't know if we needed that big speech from Sam when the politicians were saying, oh, it's hard, you don't understand, and Sam's like, oh, I'm black, what don't I understand? It's like someone else saying, well, I got this, I don't understand. It became a little bit, I agree with what he said, but it felt a little bit strange for Marvel to make it about colour and politicians. It's never been about that.
Yeah, going back to the speech with Sam, I hadn't thought about that part. Well, something came to my mind when you said it, that he was comparing, the politicians were saying, we don't have the answers to this. It's harder than you think. And he goes, you don't think I know what it's like being hard. I'm a black man.
Yeah.
Trying to wear this suit. And I was like, I agree with what he says, but they're not the same thing. Yeah, they're talking about decisions that aren't easily made, that they don't know the answers to. And just because he's a man of colour that wears a suit doesn't mean that he understands. It's different. That's like saying, oh, there's refugees in a refugee camp. Oh, I know because I'm a black man in America. It's like, that's different. You get racially profiled and beaten by police. These are people that are stuck in a prison. They're not the same thing. Like, just because you have it bad doesn't mean you understand what other people feel. Like, I wouldn't pretend to understand what it's like to have either of those things happen to me.
Yeah.
It's an interesting... I like it, and it needed to be done, I think, by Marvel, because that's just how movies are going and shows. Yeah. The amount of shows I've seen recently where there's always a mention about a Black Lives Matter rally, someone's wearing a shirt, there's a painting, there's something. It's just how the world's going, and that's good. I'm glad. It was almost cringy, though. I was watching it, and some of the things in his speech and some of the things that happen, you're like, this is awkward to watch. The fact that there's the scene where they go visit Isaiah and Bucky and Sam walk outside, and he's just talking to Bucky, and the police are like, oh, you all right? To the white guy, like, oh, is this man hassling you? It's like, that might happen in real life, but that's so cringy that you're watching that and you're going, they're really trying to make out that a superhero, because of his colour, would still get racially profiled as a criminal. Like, oh, it's a bit cringy. Whenever someone's like, oh, that's Black Falcon, they're like, no, that's Captain America. Like, why does it matter the colour of his skin? He's a man. I think it was a nice touch where they went back to Sam's hometown, and because it was like, I'm assuming it was meant to be like the deep south of some sort, because I think they were on like the Mississippi River, and like it talked about like his heritage and what his parents did and their community. Like, that was quite a nice touch to try and give him a backstory to being a man of colour, but I think some parts are a bit cringy. Overall, it was a cool thing that needed to be added. Maybe they could have just dialed it back a bit. Because at the end, what is the intention to make us understand, or is it the intention to make us go, oh, are we all racist now? Like it's sometimes people overdo it. They try and preach something to the point where you watch it and think, oh, are you having a go at me, or are you just trying to make me aware of it? Like, sometimes you feel bad about something even though you didn't cause the problem. But yeah, it's okay. Do you think it was a nice touch now that he is Captain America? You believe it? You're looking forward to it?
Yeah, it was cool seeing him train with the shield, and then, throw it with Bucky, and then now he has a really cool suit, and it's interesting how he's like, I'm Captain America, and then the senator's like, oh, he kind of gave himself the title I don't disagree with, but it's like, he was the original Captain America, and then he didn't accept it, and then John Walker was disbanded, so he's getting his original title back. But it's funny how they thought John Walker had the shield the entire time when he obviously didn't. It's like at that trial, it's like, give us the shield, but it's like he doesn't have it.
I guess another character we didn't really touch on.
Zeno.
Yeah, you're right. What are your thoughts on Zemo?
From the trailer, I actually thought he was going to be, I guess, a villain, and I didn't think it was an interesting twist how they kept it from the audience that he actually doesn't work. That he works with the heroes. That was really surprising.
Oh, it was cool. I guess Zemo probably has more importance in the comic books and the shows. His movies been not important, but he hasn't had much involvement. So yeah, it was cool. I liked him as a character. It was nice to find out a bit more about his backstory, and yeah, it tied up a lot of things in the show. I think without Zemo's involvement, they were kind of at a loose end with where to go, chasing the Flag Smashers. So I think that was a good element. I guess we're set up for future things, maybe with him orchestrating the explosion that killed the super soldiers.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's just the end of Zemo. Maybe we just go, that was his last thing he wanted. Well, obviously he wants to get rid of all heroes, but those are done, and that's moving forward. But do you think that explosion would have killed them? They're super soldiers. I suppose their bullets can kill them, so yeah, an explosion, you'd believe it.
Yeah.
Their version of super soldiers were that they were strong, but they weren't invincible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense now that I say it. What would be... What are 3 things you really liked about the show?
They gave development to characters that I guess didn't get their own spotlight, and it did action, but it was high enough budget that it could be a movie. And also it's actually quite a high like compared to WandaVision, it's actually got a lot of things going on. So it's got quite a lot of things going for it. Like it's quite a high tense show that I think previously is worth watching to lead up to Captain America 4. Like I think you would be confused, and I think it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah. I think 3 things that I liked. I enjoyed the backstories of the 2 main characters. That was good. I liked the introduction of a new character in John Walker and US Agent. And then I like the way that they... See, there's issues I have with the Flag Smashers, but that whole storyline of the Flag Smashers introduced this idea of the world isn't perfect since people returned. Politicians are making mistakes. People are going hungry. People are dying. There's people in refugee camps. And then it opened up the idea about superheroes not having all the money that you think they would. So I guess it brought a real element to the Marvel Universe instead of just focusing on the exciting stuff. And then, yeah, the new character, I like him. He could have a good impact. And, yeah, the backstories are great. It was everything I could have expected and more. I think it was better than the trailer, and it's a show that... WandaVision's a hard one to recommend to everyone because there's just some people that will not buy into it. But I think anyone can like Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I would say Falcon and the Winter Soldier seems not that hard to understand, but once you watch it, it gets very complex and it brings up a lot of dilemmas. What WandaVision, once you realise the surprise in it, it's quite simple.
Yeah. One thing about these shows is you have to be a fan to have watched them. You could say that anyone could enjoy Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it wouldn't make sense if you hadn't seen the previous Marvel movies, and same with WandaVision. So, but you could get some kind of enjoyment. You just wouldn't understand some of it. But yeah, it's great. What are 3 things you could could have been better or weren't as good as you liked?
Definitely the Black Broker, the Flag Smashers. Have to think about a third one. They're the main two.
I'll give you some of mine whilst you think. So I'm thinking for me, the same Flag Smashers. I would have liked to know a bit more about them.
The Power Broker.
The Power Broker. I wish it wasn't as obvious.
Yeah.
But I do like that she's the Power Broker because now it sets up for something different. So I won't say that that's a criticism. I think that was okay. Yeah, I would like to understand the Flag Smashers a bit more. Maybe slightly less cringy with the Black Lives Matter stuff. And I see some of the criticisms I had throughout the series got answered by the end. It's hard because I did really like the show. Yeah, mainly just more backstory to the Flag Smashers would have been good enough for me.
Actually, I know a couple. My third criticism is, Zemo's main goal is to destroy super soldiers, and he does an alright job destroying all the samples, but conveniently leaves one for John Walker. I think it was more the writing. I don't think as a character Zemo would have looked more thoroughly.
I guess it was a good way for them to explain how John Walker gets powers.
Yeah.
Because if not, they would have to write something extra and it would have been even more unrealistic, so it's not terrible.
And I guess the other one would be like how you brought up that where the place they went to that
Madripoor.
Yeah, all the hitmen when they went. Bucky went as the Winter Soldier, but no one knew that the Winter Soldier has been deprogrammed, so he's Bucky. And then basically, and the funny thing is, when you think about it, how they're being preachy, but they do a reversal, Sam goes as the black man because he's black.
Yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, the Madripoor thing was interesting because it's something that hasn't been mentioned in the movies yet. It's obviously something that's important in the comic books, but I find it unrealistic to believe that there's this island that is full of all these criminals and convicts and people that do bad things, and they all live in the same place. So what, they all just do bad things to each other? They all just rob each other back and forward, and they all sell each other drugs? And to me, you can't have a society where everyone's bad. There has to be good people get ripped off by bad people, because if bad people just keep ripping off bad people, then it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. And did you buy that the Power Broker would have helped them, or she was...
Yeah, because she needed to get involved. She needed to prove that she was good so that she could get her job back, and then that's part of her long game of infiltrating the US government and taking some of their secrets and selling them.
But she basically shot her own lieutenant to do so?
Yeah. Well, that's what she's got to do. I guess she's more evil than what we think.
Guess so. When you watch it again, it's like she basically helped Sam and Bucky, but she only wants to help Sam to get the pardon back, and she basically killed her own officer to...
It's a bit of a wild plan. She led them to the scientist
where Zeno was, and she wanted...
Well, the scientist could help her continue to make this super serum, but she leads them to them knowing that they're probably going to kill him.
Well, Zemo wanted to kill him.
Yeah, so if that was so important to her to have these super serums, now that they're destroyed, it's a really long plan to try and get her job back. You would have thought she would have not let them go anywhere near the scientist, or she would have a backup plan where someone else could make them. Or why did he only make 10 vials? I don't understand why so little.
I think it was 20.
Yeah, something why couldn't he have made millions of them? Just recreate the serum? Doesn't...
Guess it's a hard process.
Yeah, maybe. I guess if he already knows how to make it, you'd think you'd be able to repeat it, so... don't know.
But do you really buy that Sam and Bucky wouldn't, be more concerned why she's actually helping. Like, it seems very convenient that they aren't more suspicious and that she gets her pardon. Like, it's a plan that happened very easily, and it's like, when you think about, she leads them to the scientists, like, everything went perfect.
I guess they believe that she's good.
Yeah.
Like, which makes sense. They want to believe that she's good, so.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think is a final verdict?
Should we compare it a little bit to WandaVision?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess the comparison, because they're both in the Marvel universe and they both came out, makes them somewhat comparable, but...
Well, character-wise, are you more interested in learning about Sam more or Wanda more between the two main characters?
Probably Wanda, actually, because I want to know what happens with her moving forward. Like, is she good or bad? I want to understand how she's so powerful as well.
I guess Vision and Bucky?
Oh, probably Bucky. I don't care too much about Vision.
Fair enough.
Vision's essentially dead.
Yeah.
They've now got White Vision, so...
And the side characters, did you prefer the side characters in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier or WandaVision?
Probably WandaVision. I thought the character... I think WandaVision had a good comedy element to it at times.
Yeah.
I really liked the way they did the sitcoms per each episode, which is cool. Yeah, I guess it's where do we draw the comparison? Because then when we add Loki, and do we just keep comparing all the series? Because it's it's hard. They all offer their own unique thing.
Well, you can compare the characters, and I guess how you find which one has the more thing that you are looking for. Like, do you like the mystery or do you like the action? That's really where it draws.
Yeah, okay. Comparing the two, which is like overall, which was better?
I thought Falcon and the Winter Soldier was better because it did its character development and then it told a story that ended. Did you like how it ended?
Yeah, I did. It was a good ending.
And then we got the ending cutscene. Did you like the ending cutscene in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier or WandaVision? There were two in WandaVision.
Maybe WandaVision. I think that leads to a lot of mystery. As to what the cutscene in Falcon, it's clear cut what she's trying to do. She basically said it out loud. So, yeah.
So, I guess for verdicts, do you want to give a verdict first?
Yeah, okay. To me, I enjoyed it more than WandaVision. I think WandaVision was cooler and had really awesome things in it, but this was more enjoyable. If we're giving it a score out of 5, it's around that 4, maybe 4.5. Like, I enjoyed it the whole way through. I think I could easily sit there and watch each episode back to back again now. So I'm thinking a 4. I'll go with 4 for now, but it's a sliding scale. So far, it's the best Marvel show I've seen. So if there's never a show better than this, I could believe it. I could believe that this could be the pinnacle. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go 4 as well. I think with Loki coming up, it's that I agree with you. It's too hard to say. If these were the only 2 shows that were coming out, I would give it a higher score. But with other shows coming out, I think it's good to wait and see what makes, because each shows are going to be different. We're all going to disagree and, find other things that makes the other show unique. Because this is more of a typical Marvel property. What WandaVision is more of a different thing that I think it works in a way that it's different what makes it more unique. But once you work out the twist, it's about something that deals with a topic And this is more of a show that deals with political intrigue and other things. And I guess, now we've got to wait for Loki. What?
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to Loki. Marvel and Disney Plus have not disappointed so far.
No.
I think if we were to do a video where I had to list my favourite shows that have came out in the last 12 months, I think Disney Plus shows are going to fill the top of the list very much so. I've been very, very impressed with all the shows on Disney so far.
And do you think that's because with Disney Plus that they basically, they have the most to gain because they're basically one of the newest, so they can basically take their time and...
Well, you just look at what Disney own. They have so many movie franchises. Their original content's infinite. Netflix, every time they want to make something new, they have a writer come to them and go, I've got this show idea, will you make it? And they go, okay, we'll make it. Disney are like, well, we've already successfully made 1,000 movies. How about we just make a show based on one of these movies? And they go, cool, that'll work. And everyone's like, oh my God, they're making a show about the Mighty Ducks. And of course they're going to watch it. Like they can't lose. Like they have got years behind them of experience that just signifies they're going to win. They could bring out as many shows as they want about Star Wars. People are still going to watch it. No one will ever get sick of watching Star Wars shows as a Star Wars fan. So they can't help but make money.
So if you had to choose one streaming service, it would be Disney Plus?
Yeah. If each streaming service could only make original content moving forward, and I could choose one and I could never watch the others, it'd be Disney, because Disney will continue to bring out good content, just not as much as others, but there'll always be better content.
That means you couldn't watch The Boys or Cobra Kai?
Yeah, I guess if that was the decision I had to make, then yeah, because I think I'm going to get more enjoyment out of Marvel stuff, Star Wars stuff, and then anything Disney related. Like, The Mighty Ducks and Big Shot has impressed me so much, those shows. So it's just Disney Plus is really doing a great job at the moment.
Well, thanks for watching. Hope you've been enjoying the content so far. Thanks for helping with the video. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.